This podcast was created on the lands of the Ngunnawal people, the Wurundjeri people, and Ngāti Pawa. We acknowledge the contributions of Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander, and Maori people to making rugby league the greatest game of all.
You're listening to NRL Hellmouth, the podcast where we open up a portal to the rugby league realm to see what horrors and delights we can unearth. It's your friend Simon here. We've officially passed the halfway point of the regular season, and gosh, hasn't it been an ordeal? But I can see a few glimmers of hope reflecting off the beaming smiles of these two today. Daniel and James, happy mid-season solstice to you.
Oh, thank you, Simon. Beanies and bucket hats to you. Great to be here. And James, how are you?
I tell you what, though, apart from Kieran Foran's rise to be appointed as Manly coach this year, we've probably been the second most successful innovation to the NRL. So I am happy about that.
Very true, very true. Now, coming up in the show today, we've got an absolutely unhinged chapter of the NRL Book Club, plus an even higher than usual quota of bum-related segments.
Oh, yeah.
Let's open it up and raise some hell.
There's the kickoff. Let the party begin.
I've undeservedly apologised to everyone for my actions.
I didn't intend to disrespect anybody, and I definitely didn't do it on the car.
Well, I've been watching the seagulls, and not one of them is eating.
This is a horror movie. Rugby league. What else can this grand final provide?
To get stacked live on television.
Stop it, it's starting to hurt.
I think I'll pick this episode up from the theme. Welcome to the show. Simon, I don't know how you do this. It feels quite awkward. But anyway, I'll push on. I wanted to start the episode with a little wrap-up of the Round 13 action. But, you know, like there's a lot of tired formats out there in league land. So I thought I would deliver the Week 13 wrap in the form of a traditional Japanese haiku poem. Of course, the 5-7-5 syllable rule, which of course guarantees beautiful and very much, I think, profound outcomes. But anyway, that's for you to decide. So here's the Week 13 wrap in haiku. We start with the men's origin game, of course, all the way back Wednesday night. Mighty Toad begins. Klein finds shoulder before head. Teddy finds Roach dream. Then what? The women's origin game, game 3, the decider. Precious dead rubber. Maroons thrice close, but Blues sweep. New season beckons.
Beautiful.
Then we're getting into the regular action from the NRL Telstra Premiership. Sharks Manly. Sharks surge in dark waters. Many bodies lost on bench. Fozball rolls too slow. Knights Eels. Swift Knight plays ahead. Eels close, but the Pong returns. 4 wins together. The Tigers and the Broncos. Lachlan estranged. Charged down, found dead in bunker. Sweet triumph, sour loss. Storm Roosters on Saturday night. Low points to good sign. Ball yearns for chicken respect. Purple clouds deepen. Dragons Broncos. Broken horse too slow. Streak ends unlucky dragon. Evil force in shed. Raiders Cowboys, strange breeze on the green. Stick stirs milk, young machine hums. Cold boys startled clap. And we'll finish the weekend with Panthers Warriors. Dark night stars hiding. Epic war will come again. Panther sniff gauntlet.
Wow. Now,
So
quite legitimately, none of those are very funny, but they were very... They're actually deep and correct.
We were,
and I think you're very good at writing haikus, Dan.
Oh,
I feel
thank you,
quite
James.
moved.
Me too, me too. I feel like I've just been watching Spring Dew on Cherry Blossoms or something. Lovely stuff.
I'm trying to, help our podcast evolve from simply light humour and media accountability into some messages with meaning. But there were some great games in there and a great weekend. What did you think of it, guys?
It certainly was. I mean, it seems like it was only 2 weeks ago today that we were sitting here in front of our girthy podcast microphones, absolutely apoplectic with rage after disgraceful blowouts that made up Magic Round.
Yes.
But since then, we've had 2 rounds with absolutely no blowouts whatsoever. I've done the maths. The average winning margin has plummeted to only about 8.5 points.
Gosh.
Compared to almost 25 points at Magic Round. And we've actually had some enjoyable games. The Panthers-Warriors on Sunday night was a fair trade, certified bloody ripper. So what do you think after half the season of fan and player discontent? Have they finally fixed it? Or is this just a brief lull in the enshittification of the game we have come to know and hate?
I think we need to look at things quarterly or monthly
yes,
to actually
good
make
idea.
a determination. This could be 2 blips. We had, of course, the Origin round with the 30 of the best players, 40 of the best players removed. Then we had a post-Origin round where many of the best players were back but had already played a game. And many of the other best players, i.e. a whole bunch of people in Penrith, weren't back.
Yep.
So we do need to keep a close look on it.
So the tricky thing about this part of the season, it's the new norm. Like we're in this existence now for another month where we're going to be flopping between unavailabilities, buys, and midweek blockbusters.
Yeah, it will actually. Yes, we should separate the Origin quarter as a separate quarter in itself to see if that is dramatically different to the other quarters of the season.
But, and credit where it's due, you can now actually sit and watch a game of rugby league.
You can.
For the first time probably
I did
all
on the
season.
Weekend, and I was like, this is what every weekend used to be like.
Yeah.
You could sit down and watch a game and be fairly confident you'd be entertained.
Yeah. As a rugby league-centred podcast, we are happy. Let's just draw a line in the sand there. We're very happy that there is rugby league to watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
And that Panthers-Warriors game on Sunday night was fantastic. It really did deliver, despite the fact that, as my haiku touched on, some of the big stars were missing from the game. It had all the intensity. But look, my position at this stage of the year is that the Warriors have almost single-handedly saved the season. They're the only team that really, all these other teams, yes, there were great results on the weekend, but everyone has been bouncing from, post to post basically throughout the season. Form has been a concept that very few teams have really been able to claim to have. Probably the Panthers, the Warriors and the Dragons are the only teams that have had any,
consistent form.
Consistency throughout the season. So, the Warriors have done that great thing and kept us engaged because I think, they're probably everyone's second team. And to see them up there and playing with a confident, flamboyant style. They weren't, holding back on Sunday night. So it was very exciting to see. And I think they're definitely a movement that every league fan can get behind.
Absolutely. Exciting times. And of course, the upside of that is very little give up at 20 time over the last 2 rounds. Of course, the hashtag Give Up at 20 initiative is something we're promoting, wherein you stop watching a game as soon as your team falls behind by 20 points, or any team falls behind 20 points, really.
It's still on the
shelf. I
shelf.
haven't done the maths, but I'd say it would be in the single digits to give up at 20 time over the last round. However, one of our favourite hellheads, Adam, has been in touch expressing concern that we might have given up at 20 during last week's State of Origin when the Maroons did get 20 points ahead in the first half, and thus we would have missed out on an exciting and controversial second half that saw New South Wales, of course, come back to win the game narrowly. Now, I have to admit I did not give up at 20 during Origin because I just felt it wasn't over yet. Crazy swings and comebacks that have been part of the Origin legend for decades, and I felt that would probably happen. So what do you think? Should give up at 20 apply to State of Origin matches, or is that a loophole in our rule?
Well, I think, so give up 20, I think the backbone to the concept is that the statistics based on the Telstra Premiership suggest that it is extremely rare. There are obviously fewer data points in the State of Origin back catalogue, and this is obviously a pretty significant one to suggest that, well, we probably cannot apply the same rule. Yes, it's still rugby league. Yes, there are more or less the same rules that are applied to the game, but
that are
we all know
sometimes
that
applied to the game and are applied differently every week.
Exactly
But yes.
right, and a different approach by the players. There's far more commitment. They're not playing to save themselves because they know that it's a long season and at least we got a few players missing, and so we'll sort of put the cue in the rack towards the end of the game. This is like, all in every single time they get out into the park. So I think it's probably fair to say that you cannot apply the same rule. Nor would you want to. I mean, that's the other thing about State of Origin is that each of those experiences, even the thrashings, are historic in a sense.
Very true,
like, from a fan's perspective. If you, like when we all saw New South Wales going 20 points down early in the game, I couldn't help but watch because it was a bit of a train wreck at that stage. You wouldn't want to give up at 20 during a Origin game because they're all significant matches.
Fair call. All right. Just putting it out there, you do not have to give up at 20 during an Origin.
We don't have to.
Yeah,
you don't have to do it anyway. In general, it's just a guide, trying to help the GDP of Australia and New Zealand primarily, and many Pacific nations as well.
That's right.
But yeah, with Origin, basically, it's always had a different set of rules. You can see there that Ashley Klein did his best to keep things interesting. Had Ponga not been sent off, but only being put in the bin for 10, it could have very well changed the result. I think Ponga was excellent at diffusing the high New South Wales bombs throughout the game with that funny style where he jumps up and then gets parallel to the ground and falls on his back and coccyx.
The back whacker.
And after he was sent off, Queensland were not very good at diffusing the high ball, and that led to many repeat sets by New South Wales, and of course the famed Tedesco try,
the high ball,
as the game closed out.
It's almost like you couldn't have engineered the prospective comeback any better. If you were the god of league, you would be looking down thinking, I will now send off their most significant player for 20. No, hang on. I'll make it 23 minutes. I think they might need that extra little bit of time and just to keep things interesting. And then we all got to watch and see how close they could get to the comeback. And of course, they almost needed every single last second of that time. But I would say one thing, Laurie Daly, despite being a lovely chap from all reports, he's an unconventional coach, or maybe he's an old-fashioned coach, but perhaps my picture of an old-fashioned coach is someone who has a bit of decorum, has a bit of a reasonable degree of composure, and every time they cut to him in the coach's box, it was like, your drunk uncle who was, watching the footy because he was just like bouncing around, hands in head, go, come on, which is different, and he certainly wears his emotions on his sleeve. Is that good, do you think, for the coach of a state squad?
I absolutely do think that, because basically Origin is about putting a bunch of players on the field that hate the other team, love each other, don't need much more instruction than passion. And passion is what normally gets you over the line in Origin, rather than your week-to-week coaching. So he probably needed to be he needs more of that next time. And certainly when they were 20 points down within less than 20 minutes and the chips were against them, without the passion of Daly, the Yahoo spirit, we call it, Dan, they might not have gotten as close as they did anyway before the Ponga sent off, before Klein did his masterstroke of creating a brilliant contest.
A brilliant final finish. Do you think that every coach has it in them? Should Slater have been sort of, kicking the desk, throwing paper around, maybe even smashing a glass screen in front of him? Worked for Serraldo.
Well, it's an interesting one because each generation has its different coaching attributes, and I think for the younger coaches, Foran, Slater, et cetera, they tend to keep their emotions tight, don't they? I don't know why.
They do.
Is it because they can express emotions in general more readily day to day, so that they're not actually passing emotions during the game as much?
It's very
they're not processing a range of grief through that moment in the game.
Yes.
Because they're able to actually tee things out day by day, whereas Craig Bellamy, which is a good example of somebody, when he gets up and swears and walks to the back of the coach's box, he's probably thinking about an egg that wasn't perfectly boiled in the morning, lukewarm coffee, waiting behind people at traffic lights, and then it all boils up and then it is unleashed.
Yeah.
But I think Billy can probably just deal with things as they come. Yeah.
Yeah, it is lovely stuff. Of course, there's a bit of a generation gap there with Wayne Bennett, who is the original Iceman, who very rarely gives much away. And Todd Payton as well. Like, I really like watching Todd Payton. You could just take a still image and it would basically be the same as a video is able to capture. But it was a great game. It was a great start to the series, and we'll be keen to see how it backs up from there. Of course, the Origin series for the women wrapped up on Thursday night. Another excellent game. We can't speak highly enough of that series.
Can't say enough about those lacquer points.
Yeah.
It is so good to see.
It was almost unfair in the opposite direction when we talk about the gods of league evening things up, because the Queensland team were hit with more injuries and unavailabilities in the lead up to Game 3, which was, of course, the game that they would have wanted to get over the line. But again, it was close but no cigar for the Maroons. But yes, an exciting series. We look forward to the beginning of season 2026.
He's the fastest man on the planet. He's the fastest man on the planet. He'd have got there, Rabbits. He'd have got there.
So one thing, guys, that I was thrilled at watching when it occurred live, and then somewhat shocked when you both said that you missed it, because then I thought that I had imagined it. But basically, at the end of the game, I had a recollection that I saw James Tedesco's ass, all of the ass. And within 5 minutes of the ass reveal, the glorious sight, the hallelujah chorus in the background, the ray of light that beamed from it, within 5 minutes of that occurring, he actually scored the winning try, which was quite amazing.
Oh, it was late in the game.
Late in the game. And the intriguing thing was, from a narrative perspective, is that the person that unleashed the arse was none other than Mr. Cameron Munster, who tackled Tedesco, gripped him by the shorts, pulled down the pant, revealing 3.5 arse cheeks. Managed
Hang on,
to...
you had to 3.5? Did you say?
Yeah, three quarters.
Okay, right. I was how many have you got?
Three quarters of an arse, which is 1.5 arse cheeks. But to a mortal like us, it did feel like 3.5 arse cheeks.
I mean, I know Teddy's special, but...
Yeah, that's right. He did manage, for the first time in the season, to actually take down the bike pants that as we'd spoken about previously, had been protecting the jewels from being shown.
Yeah.
But Munster did it. It was a tight grip, ripped it down.
Was it in the act, was it in the falling act, or was it with malicious intent, or dare I say, larrikin intent?
It was a bit of both. I don't think it was larrikin intent. Tedesco was close to the line in the far right-hand corner. It was a good tackle by Munster. It revealed all of the right arse cheek. It left Tedesco playing the ball arse out and then rearranging the back. And not long after that, he scored the try. But I think that was probably the extra inspiration needed for Tedesco to, in fact, empower him to make that amazing final catch and juggle and evade Queensland's defence to score. So a sight to behold, unique to Origin, and something that you can only see in Origin in the modern game.
Oh, fabulous.
That's right. We've spoken before that we used to see Teddy's ass every week, and then this season it's been strangely absent. But I think we even thought maybe he was saving it for a big Origin performance. And there we have it. And I just see you've shared the receipts in the group chat, James.
Yeah, I've shared some photos.
Of the event, so I still can't believe I missed it. But
I cannot believe I missed that.
If listeners start the game with about 5 minutes to go, so 35 minutes into the half, you will see it. And I mean, I've watched it quite a few times now. Just poetry. Just poetry.
Fantastic. Now, I'm excited in the science that backs that sort of inspiration. I know they've got heart rate monitors, but I'd love to see, if maybe some special chemicals, adrenaline and whatnot was sort of increased during that mooning. Because I know, all the pros, even when they get a full dacking, they do like to kind of get up and play the ball as if they're pretending that, my ass is not hanging out. But of course, we all know when our pants have been pulled down. And I think there's some wild chemistry that takes place in the human body during that period. And so I'd love to see if if those chemicals that are released do in fact enhance performance. And as you know, if it does lead to that, if this Origin miracle can actually be credited to the dacking, will teams actually be deliberately dacking one another in critical junctures of games? You know, I know that there are points where they say, let's push hard in defence, we're going to really keep them on their line, but when they're backed up in their own defensive line, they need to get out. Are we going to see a few friendly fire dackings behind the line? Just to release...
Fascinating. Dack me! What? Fucking dack me! Do it!
Hey, if the science backs it, if it worked for Tedesco, then...
I need it now!
I actually have had an idea about this, which is that, do you know how I'm thinking about like the golden era of the Chippendales, the male strip group, or perhaps Manpower Australia, and they used to wear trousers with Velcro down the side so you could just rip them off with one tug?
Yeah.
I'm thinking if the team gets rugby league shorts with that, then basically they'll get dacked all the time. So then you'll get that nice little adrenaline and cortisol, and depending on, you know, your kinks, perhaps a nice little rush of dopamine.
Yes.
Which will enhance the performance. But also, like, it means that of the many tackles where somebody's grabbing your shorts and that's all that's stopping you from making a line break, no longer an issue. You're through.
Wow.
You're scoring tries.
You're down in
will.
down in your $80 budgie smugglers.
Of course, if you come back to the sheds after a game and you haven't lost your shorts, you haven't played hard enough. That's what they say. And I think also taking another page out of the Chippendales books, we should be sort of getting rid of the jocks, getting down to just those the G strings with the modesty pouch out the front, branded, of course. You know, we could have those sponoed up or whatever we want to do.
Well, I think that's how the NFL players do it. That's the classic jock strap.
Yeah,
I think
that is right.
I don't really know where that is. There an advantage to wearing a jock strap? I've only really ever seen it in high school.
You've only ever seen
films.
it on the heads of people that are making fun of the concept.
It might have something to do with the associated equipment, because I know that they wear a lot more protective gear. Maybe it's more of a hindrance to sort of wear, because maybe they wear
tighter pants as well. Maybe you don't want a visible seam.
Yeah, that could be right.
American
but I could never
football.
imagine playing a sport with a cord running down my ass crack. That's just personal preference, but we're all different.
You're the gridiron expert of the group. We'll just expect a quick report back next week. We'll add that to the agenda. Okay. It's an action item for you, and we just want some notes around
just a quick one.
Jockstrap comfort within the wider gridiron community.
Comfort
Thank you.
Research. Great. Okay. Hope my wife doesn't find that tab open.
Yes, of course, the Dragons finally got a win last weekend. Their first in nearly a year, would you believe?
As predicted by Dan on our social media.
As predicted by Dan.
A lot of rich people out there this week, Dan. Thank you very much.
That's good. I didn't see my mate around the corner. But they had a party at their house on the night. It's a Sunday night, so, not many young people have parties on Sunday night, but, I guess they had a cause for celebration. I didn't go around there and hear, when the Saints go marching in.
Daniel, we told you your action for last week, which you have not fulfilled, is to form the bond with the guy. You should have knocked on his door. Just go, hi, guys, I just want to acknowledge the win today, and I could see you having a party. I just want you to know I'm cool with it. I know Sunday night's not really a party night round here, but I'm cool with it.
Well, I know they live in Melbourne, but I just don't know what their feelings would be to a Storm fan, But, I feel like, it's probably a moment of openness, emotional availability when he's had a win. So you're right. I've missed a chance there. Hey, they could get up again this week. I'm not going to make any predictions, though.
Nah, rest on your laurels there, mate.
I reckon. Yeah. But it was a great win. So good to see them get up. And actually, one thing that I noticed,
very happy.
I don't know if you saw this, that the last 3 times that the Dragons have played the Broncos in Brisbane, you won't believe this, the Dragons have won 30-26 on each of those 3 occasions. It's one of those great statistics that you go, wow, isn't that amazing? And then your brain can't do anything else apart from marvel.
Apart from go, Christ, I wish I made a bet on that 4 years ago.
But great stats and great to see them get a win. I didn't see any visiting rally towels in the crowd, but it was very exciting. And nice of them to make it nice and close at the end, despite having a pretty comfortable lead early and midway through the second half. In fact, late in the second half, but they sort of kept it interesting late in the game. But good to get over the line.
The foul play far outweighs the dickhead.
It was a big day out in Broncos land. I was so glad. I missed seeing it live, unfortunately. But John from the Wiggles, I think it was John, one of the two purple Wiggles, and of course my favourite tree of wisdom were the shoe strikers this week. Which was great to see.
Yeah.
And you can imagine...
this is where they bang a horseshoe in a rather lacklustre manner before every Broncos home game.
They pantomime banging a very large golden horseshoe while a dude dressed in black with a scratchy beard and a hat stands next to them and lets off sound effects and pyro from a very obvious console laptop situation.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that is the concept of Strike the Shoe.
That's
if you
part
imagine
of the theatre,
that's part of the theatre,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that the tree would have incorporated that guy into the act, knowing the mischief that the tree gets up to. You can imagine the Broncos were probably very confident that they'd win this match. And they were probably looking to really amp up the entertainment value for punters. So they would have gone, okay, we've got maybe an easy win against the Dragons. So what can we do to solve that? Well, let's get in Tree of Wisdom, Australia's premier entertainer, and then we'll get John, the second purple wiggle, in just to do the shoe strike. Then we'll probably bump them 40-10. No worries. And then how are we really going to cap it off? And then someone probably went, I've got a good idea. How about we get an allegedly accused war crime Australian into the inner sanctum at the end.
Yeah.
And then they would have gone, hold on, what? And they go, yeah. We will get one of the most objectively divisive characters within Australia in our sheds at the end of the game. Dave, can you sign off on that? And then they would have put it up to Dave Donaghy, the CE, and kind of gone from there. And then you can see you've got Wiggles, game, divisive figure / alleged war criminal. And then, you do the funny song and all that kind of stuff afterwards. You bang the eskies and whatnot.
And of course, it all went downhill from the time that shoe was struck. Couldn't have gone any worse.
Well, the tree was the highlight.
Yeah, that's right.
It was an interesting decision that after finding themselves in a great big hole after being the first team to lose to the Dragons all season, the Broncos decided to just keep on digging by letting accused war criminal Ben Roberts-Smith into their dressing room after the game. Now, just a reminder, Ben Roberts-Smith is currently facing 5 counts of war crime murder, including kicking a handcuffed Afghan civilian off a cliff and executing a disabled prisoner and turning his prosthetic leg into a drinking vessel. Really sick stuff, allegedly. So the Courier Mail spotted him in the sheds, and Roberts-Smith told them, quote, "The Broncos invited my daughters today because of all the things that they have been through." And I think I speak on behalf of all of us here at NRL Hellmouth when I say, fuck you, cunt!
Yes. And of course, Simon just means it as an observer. He's not...
That's editorial, not a legal opinion.
But it doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't.
I don't know how it played out. As you say, James, you suggested that it went all the way up the flagpole to get sign-off.
No,
I don't know. I feel like
apparently
these things,
not.
It's just like, so who was the contact?
Yeah, so to be clear, the Broncos haven't put out a club statement on this, which I think is pretty piss weak. But yeah, apparently, according to insiders not authorised to speak on the record, Roberts-Smith wasn't there as an official guest of the club or anything. He was personally invited into the sheds by Adam Walsh, Broncos head of wellbeing and education. Now, guys, I'm no mental health expert, but maybe being in the same room as an accused murderer and war criminal might not be a net positive on players' well-being. What do you guys reckon?
Geez, interesting, Simon. Really interesting.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
I don't know.
Yeah, look, it's a gross look for a club. And it's why we thought we would create a nice little dishonour, but an award for teams that have made terrible calls. Perhaps we can kind of give the top brass at the Broncos a bit of a free pass that they weren't privy to this, but the fact that they haven't come out and made a club statement means they are just as deserving of the Stench, which will be a new dishonour that we award to clubs. They sort of have the putrid cloud of executive idiocy, and followed by the acrid odour of boardroom witlessness. And we'll give them the Stench, as you can hear in the background there. It's just flying into the space. And the Broncos will now have the wonderful honour of having their club haunted by the spectre of scathing optics. And that's, of course, up until the time that another club is able to equal or better their low move, their dog act. So good luck with the Stench, Bronx. I think it's moved on from Melbourne, where it was from last season, where I think it was sort of at that time when welcomes to country celebrations, they were being discussed, and what would be the best thing to do at club level is to probably stand your ground and make a real statement, to deliver, to actually say that it's not just a token move, but instead the Storm voted to change their pre-game, and then they tried to backpedal and say that it was a mistake and someone had been given the wrong memo, and they have been living with the Stench for about a year now. So I think they'll be very happy to know that this putrid odour has moved on.
It was a real sliding doors moment, that whole situation. They went from potentially having the Tree of Wisdom gyrating into an esky, singing the club song with the winning Broncos, to losing the game, and then having to deal with this particular fallout, and cherry on top, getting the Stench Award that is only passed on when something greater than the previous stench has been sniffed. And we've just done it now.
What absolute madness. Well, it might be madness, but I've enjoyed it, and I hope the viewer has as well.
That's because you're mad.
What?
You're mad.
Well, that's a lovely way to go to a break.
Speaking of the Stench, the Panthers last week released a great little collab to promote the National Bowel Cancer Screening Program. Do check it out on their socials if you get a chance. It's very well done, and it's built around the concept of giving a shit. The bowel cancer screening program, of course, consists of taking a couple of small samples of your poo and posting them off for testing. A great initiative and an important thing to do if you're over 45, which is probably the case if you're listening to this podcast. I did it last year. It's very easy, and my co-hosts can testify it produced some absolutely ripping banter in our group chat for a couple of days.
That's true.
It was an amazing 4 days.
But one curious thing about Penrith's bowel cancer testing ad is that it's narrated by and heavily features Brian To'o, who is an unusual choice as a bowel cancer spokesperson, to say the least. We've spoken before about his notorious pre-game breakfast, 2 brekkie burgers, large chips with aioli and 6 cans of Coke Zero. And then this week I actually found out that Brian's Coke habit is even worse than we thought. So apparently after Penrith's after Penrith won their 4th grand final in 2024, the Coca-Cola company sent him 24 cases of Coke Zero. And Brian says he finished them in about a month. That's 576 cans of artificially sweetened Coca-Cola. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a gastroenterologist, but I feel like completely insane diet like this might have an impact on one's overall bowel health.
Yeah. This is not medical advice, but just a bit of a common sense approach.
There's significant risk factors
to life
there.
in general, not just your bowel health.
You feel like, when you go to the GP and they ask you various little questions, you don't think many people normally tick that box of have you consumed more than 500 cans of Coke Zero within the last couple of months. But that really does push the risk factors, I think, up quite significantly.
The question here would be, do you consume, how many standard drinks of soft drink do you consume in a week? And it would be 1 to 2, 2 to 4, like maybe 10 plus. And he'd just
10
tick that. And then you'd have to go, right. So let's just clarify 10 plus. What's the actual number? Well, on average, probably 200 to 300 a month.
It's Coke Zero. It's got no sugar. They're like, okay, no worries. Move on to the next one.
It's an awful lot of carbonation as well. I'd be worried about the flatulence beyond any long-term effects, because all that CO2's got to come out somehow.
Be interesting to watch the heat map. He's kind of CO2 and methane heat map.
That's right.
I think they can do that kind of thing with the imaging these days.
Australia's emissions hotspots, and it's just over one house in the Greater Penrith region. It's just like dark red.
That's dangerous stuff. But look, I have noticed that the bowel cancer screening program does seem to have a bit of money in the pocket, because I've seen them promoting on rival podcasts. And if I did have one podcast goal, it would be to target them as the first major sponsor of the NRL Hellmouth.
Yes, please.
Hellmates at nrlhellmouth.com if you do want to take us on.
In a part of an episode that I've subsequently found was entirely removed, we did speak about our affiliation with certain betting agencies, and we will be doing the same. We have no affiliation with and won't, so much so that we won't even pretend that we are. But we will start pretending we are affiliated with Bowel Cancer Screening Australia, and we will be starting off by posting photos of our poos initially. And we'll see if that builds an audience for us. Yeah. I don't know what type, but yeah, somewhat.
Has scored on American soil. Turkey's heritage. Into 4-pointer here.
I think, Dan, that's given me a very good opportunity to segue to our next segment for today, which is a bit of a deep dive into what Cooper Johns is eating and wearing on a continuous call team Instagram clip that I've shared with you previously. Listeners will be able to research this themselves to see what we're talking about. But basically, Cooper Johns is in the continuous call. I guess it's a bunker. Their studio always gives me the chills because it does seem like a 1980s BBC science fiction set. It's all grey for some reason, grey floor, grey walls, grey desk. Through the window, you can see it's near like an off-ramp of a road. It is the grimmest thing possible. They then primarily wear a black and blue polyester shirt sponsored by Lowe's that's got 2GB Sydney continuous call team written on the back and on the pocket. And then to the left of frame is Cooper Johns with white shoes, white tracksuit pants or jeans and white T-shirt on. No problem there potentially. But next to him is a very large bowl, wouldn't you agree, Daniel and Simon?
Massive.
A larger,
absolutely
not
enormous.
A typical bowl that you would have food in.
It's a mixing bowl.
It's a mixing bowl or a salad bowl size.
That's not from the serving section of your kitchenware shop. That's from the food
shared.
preparation.
It's from the shared section.
Yeah.
In that bowl, there is remnants of a yellow matter. It could be a soup. It could be a stew. Could be a curry. And it has a spoon, which I think is quite telling because the spoon then indicates what was in it. So when I see a massive bowl and a spoon like that and yellow, I either think soup or dal or something. I wouldn't necessarily
pumpkin
think curry.
soup, I'm thinking.
So first of all, very brave man and very skillful. Props where it's due to wear all white.
Yeah,
and to then consume such a thing in general.
Yeah.
And to top
Absolutely.
it off, we also need to note the white Stanley cup that is on the desk and below the desk, which is obviously his beverage carrier of choice, which again is a choice, and big ups to him to maybe carry something that's usually the domain of a tween-aged girl or a homemaker of some sort, a female homemaker of some sort in the United States of America.
And
okay?
it's huge. It also is not the kind
and
you can get
is
at
a
any
huge
supermarket.
thing. And we don't know if it's got water in it or he's
store.
jazzed it up.
Yeah,
but he's owning both the look and the cup. Now, what I have a problem with, what I've just described is fine if it's not in a professional work situation.
Okay.
But there are two things going on here. He is working in a professional situation. It is the primary function of him to be on radio and entertaining. He is in a room that probably has close to $1 million worth of equipment in it. And he has brought with him an uncovered massive bowl of soup or similar and is consuming that. Now, in either of your professional work situations, if anybody brought in a massive bowl to a meeting or even on their desk, do you think that that would just be passed off as nothing, let alone into a room that has so much expensive equipment in it, and this person is a known japester and joker? So it is a dangerous situation that he's bringing the massive bowl of soup into.
Well, it's interesting because he's gone for the Stanley Cup with the special spill-proof lid, so he's obviously, concerned about spilling liquids in his general life, but then he's got, the massive open bowl. I do notice quite a large wad of scrunched up paper napkins next to the bowl, so perhaps there actually has been some spillage onto the table or onto the documents I can see around him.
There's no sign on the garments, though. He does seem to have escaped.
No, he's done well.
That's the professionalism. He's obviously good at it, but that's not the point. The point is you want to reduce risk where necessary. And imagine you're the big man and whoever else is in there trying to run a entertaining radio show, and the newest member of the team brings in a massive bowl of soup.
That is true.
Which would take about half an hour to eat.
Yeah.
And between banter and rugby league talk, blah, 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 does my head in. As a non-professional podcast,
we would never try this.
Do that.
No.
We've got a couple of water bottles. That's it. Anyway, listeners, you wanted accountability on rugby league media and you're getting it.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to welcome you to
NRL
Book Club presented by
NRL Hellmouth.
And the holidays are here, and that means this month's drink pairing is peppermint mocha with flavors of chocolate and peppermint. It's a merry, 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 merry minty way to warm up this season, along with a great book. And I have just the one for you right here.
Yes, indeed. It's time for another meeting of the first and only book club exclusively dedicated to rugby league literature. Now, I have received some feedback from the Australian literary community on the way I've been running our book club so far, namely that every reading to date has been taken from the 1994 anthology In a League of Their Own 2.
Intentionally.
Yeah, but some people feel apparently it's not a real book club if you read the same book every month. So anyway,
well, it's good that we have listeners with opinions on that particular thing. Okay,
I've taken all of that feedback on board, and I'm delighted to announce that we won't be reading from 1994's In a League of Their Own 2 this week. Instead, I'll be reading from 1993's In a League of Their Own 1.
Joke's on you, losers. This one's even worse.
Yeah, it is, actually. I've acquired this at great expense from the back room of a dusty old bookshop in Cairo, run by a one-eyed man that kind of cackled maniacally when I went to pay, which was a bit concerning. But this really is the Old Testament to in a league of their own scriptures, and just like the Bible's Old Testament, it's where you can find a lot of that really fucked up stuff.
Oh, no.
Today's story is no exception. It's an anecdote about my club, the Canberra Raiders. They say that you should never meet your heroes, and I have no opinion on that, but I would say don't read about your heroes in an anthology of rugby league anecdotes, because this piece left me absolutely shook. Anyway, this reading today is written by none other than Bradley Clyde, the great number 13 of the Raiders' golden era, and it's entitled The Car Olympics. You might notice a bit of a pattern to how these stories start. When Canberra got knocked out of the semi-finals in 1988, we decided on a big drink to end the season.
Great.
Yeah, you can just put that on with a stamp at the start of every chapter.
So far, so good. Yep.
And the whole club headed out to Queanbeyan Racecourse the next day. There weren't any horses running that day. But anyone who happened by the place would have had plenty of entertainment. The plan was to drive out to the track and catch cabs back. It seemed like the safest thing to do, although in retrospect it didn't work out exactly as planned, especially for Laurie Daly. Needless to say, the boys had a few drinks and things started getting a bit wild. At one stage, I was picked up and taken to a stable where a farrier nailed a horseshoe onto my best pair of runners. We broke into groups in the car park and got into a bit of wrestling. And when we got tired of that, a few of the boys got into their cars and started chucking donuts and dragging around the place. Mal Meninga didn't have his car there. He was too smart for that. So he grabbed the keys to Laurie's old green Tirana and roared off in it. I'm not sure what happened, but the next thing there was a big crash and Mal had driven straight into a telegraph pole. Once we saw he wasn't hurt, we just fell about laughing. Even Laurie thought it was funny. This is the Yahoo attitude you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, that's all right.
Mel just got out and left it there, and we all headed back to the bar. A little while later, someone decided to start up the Car Olympics, all based around Laurie's Tirana, which still sat wrapped around the pole. This sounded like a great idea, and we soon worked out some really good events. There was the javelin, the shot put, and the hop, skip and jump. For the javelin, we found some steel stakes used for holding up wire fences and threw them at the tyres. For the shot put, we used the biggest rocks we could find and threw them through the windows, which were still wound up, needless to say. The hop, skip and jump was the best. You had to hop on the bonnet, step on the roof and jump down onto the boot. The big forwards really enjoyed that one. The Olympics were a great event and we were only upset that they couldn't be held more than once. Not with Laurie's car anyway. The last reminder the people of Queanbeyan had of the Raiders that year was the sight of the green Tirana being towed to the tip down the main street the next day. The end.
Whoa.
Man, that's a heavy story.
Isn't it?
I might just remind listeners of the conventional anatomy of a story, just to put into perspective just how avant-garde that particular piece is, because it really bucks that trend with complete disregard.
A ballad of misrule, I would call it.
Yeah, I mean, it is just like someone has said, "Can you write something, Brad, for the thing?"
That's right.
And he goes, "I don't know how to write." And they said, "Just write everything that happened."
And then we'll photocopy it and send it down to the Queanbeyan Police Office, and then you can sign off on that and save them on the paperwork. I was going to say there is a straight line from that anecdote, Simon, to the behaviour of current NRL coaches and State of Origin coaches, Laurie Daly, Craig Bellamy, Ricky Stewart,
Yep.
probably a bunch of other people as well, that
Mal Meninga,
whereby that is their experience in life.
Exactly.
It is entirely free and freeing. It's like almost Lord of the Flies, but they are existing within normal functioning society. But they carry that with them. And when they are under stress in a game or other circumstances, they are all driving a green Tirana into a
telegraph
pole. They're all doing that. They're all in that car, hop, skipping and jumping off the bonnet. It must be very freeing. Certainly as someone in a slightly different demographic, I can't really get my head around it.
It's interesting.
I do wonder about the process. Most people would sort of think it's a funny thing where someone's perfectly usable car is number one written off by one of your friends.
They wouldn't,
but then you decide to just completely destroy it.
That's right. I think in 1988 they were on kind of normal salary.
Yeah, they were balancing them out with
and with probably a part-time job on the side. So it is interesting that riding off the green Tirana was just laughed off as a terrific joke by Laurie.
I assume that Mal then just gives Laurie his car, and then Mal gets a little dunger between the off season and the start of the 1998 season, 1989 season. Yeah.
But of course, these were the pitfalls back in the day before the internet, before you could check that there was actually a race meet on. You would have lots of sports teams that had fallen out of final series, pissed out of their brains, that would just rock up at various venues. It didn't have to be a sporting track meet. It could have been a cinema. It could have been a bar. And they would just arrive expecting something to find the doors closed, and then they would just lay siege in the car park for half a day, destroy whatever is there. Well, sometimes their own property.
They were getting served at a bar at the racecourse. So I'm thinking, if I had to guess, what happens here is the club's management going, "All right, boys, you can have a big drink to end the season, but you're not going to go to the Royal Hotel on Main Street.
Okay,
we're gonna book a venue out of the way where nobody will. You can get up to hijinks and nobody will see you. Great in theory."
Yeah.
But then a few years later, Brad Clyde puts it all on record in a league of their own once.
That's right.
A confession.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So Brad Clyde now is quite successful in the business world, and his LinkedIn profile lists him as a results and value-driven executive. So I wonder if this sort of Lord of the Flies situation helps him in, the boardroom battles with the other execs.
Well, it may be part of their blue sky process these days. They get basically as a team bonding, they're like, "I need a green Tirana. Yes, car park. Yeah, 20 minutes. All right, thank you." And then the same poll each time. And he knows to prepare in advance, the various tools that you use or weapons that you might use. And then, before you know it, you've got the next generation of top flight executives.
Anyway, another chilling tale from the NRL book club.
Mal Meninga there looking solid, shall we say. He really does look just a little bit overweight, as to be expected.
Now, before we go into the next segment, I thought I'd just announce... Are you ready to go, James?
Yeah, have you got a new theme song for it?
Yeah, I thought I'd just pre-announce a new little segment ID.
This Week in Hell is brought to you by Hager Slacks. They just fit better naturally.
Oh,
what do you think?
I love that. That's made my week.
I do have a shorter version for subsequent weeks, but the boys from Hagar's, they got on board this week. They wanted to be part of the next gen, and so I couldn't say no. I just built them into the
Well,
the
I
intro.
love a Hagar's slack, and we're all wearing them now.
Should get Hagar's, see if they want to do that Velcro up the sides we spoke about earlier, so we can just whip them off.
Well, it's so good that we've got that great new theme zinger for This Week in Hell, because This Week in Hell, the game has returned to a steady normality, which is quite good. There's less drama outside the game. I think Abdo resigning has set up the rest of the season very well, mainly because we don't have to see him spruiking stupidity. I've seen a little bit of chat around the traps around broadcast rights and that sort of thing, but we'll probably get into them when it's a little bit clearer. But what we have in front of us this week is no state of origin, either men's or women's, and we've got a relatively full and interesting round of NRL to think and talk about. And it starts tonight, Thursday, with the only match inside the top 8, Seagulls versus Rabbitohs, 5th versus 6th at 4 Points Park, with Mr. Fosball having now signed on for the next few years as coach. Rabbitohs have got a struggle with all that against them, but be interesting to see how that plays out. Then on Saturday night, we have got a Queenslander Fest, 5:30 Cowboys Dolphins, 9th versus 7th, followed up at Suncourt Stadium, Broncos 11th versus Titans 16th. I think the Bronx and the Titans will actually be quite a tight game, and it could be that the Titans take this opportunity to seize the moment and try and get as far away from the Dragons as possible. So that'll be good. And obviously the Dolphins will be looking to win and keep their forward momentum going.
Yeah, I think they're like just quietly quite an exciting prospect. I think the Dolphins list is always one that you sort of, when they can get their act together, they'll be fantastic. And maybe they're just building something quietly at the moment. So, yeah, 4 on a trot.
And just to clarify, apparently it's not true that the Broncos will be inviting Pol Pot into their dressing room after that game against the Titans.
Couldn't get a day release for the round. Or is he dead?
He's
been dead for a while.
He's dead.
Yeah.
Maybe they might have, pop the ashes on the esky at the end.
Yeah,
that kind of
true.
thing.
Shake him around a bit.
Shaking around.
So that's the main stuff going on. I reckon West Tigers 10th versus Panthers could be an interesting one Sunday afternoon, 2:00. We've got a triple header on Sunday, which is quite cool. That's followed up by Sharks Dragons. Can Dragons get 2 in a row? Dan, what's your prediction there?
The future is unclear. No, I won't make a prediction. I'm just enjoying the game.
It'll be interesting to see if the Dragons have a little bit more pep in their step after winning one. Certainly, the celebrations I've seen online from fans and from the club after winning a single regular season game, you'd think they'd won a premiership or something. It's been quite delightful. So,
what did the car ranters do? James, did you follow the car ranters? Did they even, get cut through when they didn't have a rant?
Listen, as you guys both know, I was a little bit obsessed with Cooper Johns' massive bowl of soup.
Yeah.
So that's basically where I spent most of my time. Yeah. Should have checked out the car ranters. Well, that's my action for next week, Dan. I will bring back a car rant update for next week's show.
Yeah, if you could. I just don't know what they do. What's their sort of, neutral gear? Or what do they do when they're succeeding? Gosh, I just don't know if I'd find them that entertaining.
Dan, that is like a haiku, but in thought. Does that make sense? So fascinating. Sure. Bulldogs Eels on Monday. Always good to have a Monday night game. Bit of a preview probably of next year with Monday night back in the mix. although they are 14th and 15th on the ladder. So who knows how that will play out. And Storm are playing the Knights and the Raiders are playing the Roosters. 2 teams in the top 8 versus 2 teams that are normally in the top 8. So it'll be interesting to see how those 2 games play out as well.
Yeah, I think both the Raiders and the Storm are, their form is suspected to have picked up just a little bit.
Yes.
So
yes. It's a theoretical improvement.
But I do like the intrigue in that Bulldogs-Eels game. It's kind of the end of the week. We're going to decide who's going to spend the week with a lot of media scrutiny on their back.
Yeah.
And the Bulldogs aren't doing themselves any favours, given the sour note that they left the Tigers game on.
Probably a lot of Claude AI-powered emails going back and forth internally within the Bulldogs. Each message getting longer and longer and harder to read until they end in a plan that is absolute nothingness. And they will continue to plunge down the ladder as a result.
I see that... Claude has just started charging for token usage, not monthly subscriptions. So we legitimately could see the Bulldogs bankrupt by like August.
You know when
and it'll be all on Gus's account.
Yeah. You know back in the day, you used to get like massive phone bill, right? With if you phoned
like a kid
like a phone sex line or something naughty, and then you'd have to explain it all away, and then Gus would be like, I don't know what's going on. I was just chatting to it.
Mate, it's $17,000.
It says I've got lots of good ideas.
Yeah.
Now, Philip, you're banned. 1 month. No Claude. He's my best friend.
Anyway, let's hope for another week of no blowouts. And even contests and people holding the ball.
Oh, no, he pulled his hands away. No. Possibility of a penalty try and professional foul as the foul happens in the field of play.
Wow. There we go. That's how stupid the rule is.
I understand, but that's the rule as it stands.
All right, time to close up the Hellmouth for another week. Thank you, as always, for joining us and listening to this rather nonsensical podcast. Please come back next week and don't forget to shoot us a follow on the socials if you haven't already. Now it's back to James for his final thought.
You might be a bit of a bum because you bring a massive bowl of soup into your professional work context. You might need analysis of what comes out of your bum by taking a cancer screening test via the mail. You might reveal your bum and gain superpowers and single-handedly win a game of State of Origin football. You might be a credibly alleged war criminal and be allowed into a inner sanctum experience for the Brisbane Broncos. But what's really important is that you get your bum on a seat this weekend and watch some rugby league. Get it up, ya! Of a Tree of Wisdom of a Brian Toll.
I think if you do that, and then I'll introduce the Stench Award. Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
So cool. So Simon outlines the war crimes, and then we go.
Yeah, I'll outline the war crimes. I've got my.
He does the heavy lifting.
Allegedly's and accused highlighted in bold.
That's good.